tackling the evaluative question 2. So by the end of this video, you should be able to develop your skills to draw logical and reasoned conclusions to help you to answer evaluative questions in your business exam. This is the second video that I produced on this topic, as the first one proved really popular. Evaluation. This presentation, like the first video, is going to look at the concept of evaluation in your business exam. Here, like in the first video, I'm going to give you a question and then I give you some time to answer the question. Before, I will pull out some of the key concepts and show you some of the areas that you should have identified. So when you see the question, make sure you pause the video, produce your answer, and then see how it should have been answered or a suggested answer. Because what you find with a lot of business exams is it doesn't include definitive answers, it includes answers possibly which will be correct as long as they're justified. Don't forget that you can find more resources and quizzes online at BeeBusinessBee.co.uk. Don't forget you can ask any questions below or do it via Twitter. It's at BeeBusinessBee. So here is your question. Bee owns a honey business. She has compared the financial performance over the previous 2 years to see how successful her business has been. The table shows some key financial information about her business. Discuss the financial performance of Bee's business over the last 2 years. Pause the video now while you attempt to answer the question. Okay, step 1. What we need to do now is identify the performance of the business. So what I'm going to do very quickly with my little highlighter is highlight red or green. So in year 2, total sales are up, so that's got to be a positive. Gross profit's up, has to be a positive. Net profit's down, got to be a negative. Fixed assets are up as well, which means she owns more fixed assets, so that's got to be a positive. Current assets are down, which could be a potential drawback. Depends on where it's come from though. Maybe she's changed and managed to get more cash sales, and maybe in the previous year it was all on credit. These are the factors to consider. Remember what I said about there's no actual right or wrong answer, it's how you justify it that matters. Current liabilities are down. Should be a good thing, owes less money out of the business. And capital employed is gone up, which means in theory that the business has got more assets, which is what we'd expect with its fixed assets. So, now we need to try and think about reasons for each set of data that we've identified. So why might it have happened? So total sales being up, well hopefully that's a real positive, isn't it? That means she's selling more products. Gross profit has gone up, well I would expect that, wouldn't we, if she's selling more products? We'll come to that figure in a minute. Net profit going down, well that means her overheads must have gone up, because we know that the gross profit has gone up, and we know the formula for gross profit is revenue minus cost of sales, and we know the formula for net profit is gross profit minus all other expenditure. So that means that if she's made less, then her expenses must have gone up by quite a considerable amount, which you could actually calculate. Fixed assets. So the items that she owns that obviously tend to be expensive, but you can't turn into cash quickly, have gone up. So that means that she's got more fixed assets. Could that be machinery, for example? That she maybe has bought a machine, and maybe that's linked to our current liabilities. Maybe previously she used to rent the machine for £1,000 a month, and that's gone down now. So that's why it's gone down, but she's bought the machine for £5,000. So there's a large expenditure that's gone out of the business straight away, but it's no longer a liability. It's turned a current liability into a fixed asset maybe. Current assets have obviously fallen, which could suggest that she's got falling sales. But then we know that's not the case, because we've seen that total sales have gone up. Maybe she's got less people who owe her on credit. That could be a positive potentially. Or maybe she's got less cash in the bank, which of course will be a negative. It all depends where it's come from. But maybe that cash in the bank's being used to pay for that new machine that we just talked about, possibly. And then obviously the capital employed shows how much money is invested in the business. We can calculate that by actually subtracting the current liabilities from the total assets. But really it shows you how much is invested in the business and in the assets, which you'd expect to go up. Step 3. Let's perform any suitable calculations that help support our answer. Now you should be able to perform a vast array of calculations. For example, you could work out the working capital by doing current assets minus current liabilities. You could even do some simple ones, like you could do that total sales revenues increased by £5,000. That's supplying your answer. You could do gross profits increased by £2,000. You could do net profits decreased by £6,000. You could work out the actual possible increase in the margins. So, for example, you could work out what is that difference in overheads? How much have overheads actually gone up by if her net profit has come down to £12,000? These are all considerations that you can chuck in there. And I'm not going to do them all for you. I want you to try and think about what numbers could I do? What could I extrapolate out of that data? And then now you should be at the point where you can write your answer. You planned it all out. Now, what I have said all the time is show your working. So before you actually put pen to paper, all that working you've done, make sure it's on your paper or on your screen if you did an electric exam. Show the calculations that you've done so the examiner can see that you prepared your answer. So what could an answer look like? Well, there you go. You've got an answer that I produced. Now, this is quite tight and I've only picked in some points, but I'll explain where I'm going with this. So, the income statement and statement of financial position show how a business has been performing over a period of time financially. The information for Bee's business suggests that aspects of Bee's performance has been successful, with the business doing better in year 2. However, other aspects suggest that this is not the case. Notice I'm getting a bit of knowledge in there at the first about the financial documents, and I'm also saying that it's not all going to be one way in the arguments I'm going to present. There is going to be two sides to this argument. So let's start with the first point. The revenue that Bee has made has increased by £5,000 over the 2 years. This suggests that Bee must have been selling more products. However, these could have been at a lower selling price. Even though sales revenue has increased by £5,000, the gross profit has only increased by £2,000. This could lead to profits in the future if Bee is to keep reducing her selling price. Now notice I've used some data to try to apply my answer in that line there straight away, but keeping it simple still and showing you how it can be done. Bee also should be concerned about the net profit figure of the business, as this is declining and getting worse. This suggests that Bee has increased operating costs for the business, which have increased by £6,000 in a year. This is a problem for Bee, and she needs to consider, can she get a cheaper supplier for her utilities, or can she get a discount or a cheaper location to rent for her business? Notice that I've identified that I understand there that they're overheads, and obviously they may have increased, and can she do something about it, some possible solutions. Now let's make another point. The reduction in the current assets is also a concern, as this means that the business has less money to spend and to access in a short time frame. This, however, could have been a positive if the £7,000 was mainly made up of trade receivables, as this could show that the business is now getting better at getting its customers to pay in cash. However, I do not have the information to make this decision thoroughly. Now, of course, I'm making it clear there that I've identified something which I can't fully assess because we haven't been able to drill down into the current assets. The reduction in the current liabilities and the increase in fixed assets is good, though, as this suggests that the business is growing. It is possible that Bee has bought a new machine, which is now a fixed asset for £5,000, rather than paying £1,000 a month in rental for a machine, which would be a current liability. Now, what I've wrote there took about 4 minutes to write, so I showed you how quickly you can actually write one of these answers. Now it's time for our final step. We need a conclusion. So, here is my conclusion. Overall, in my opinion, I think that Bee is actually performing slightly better in year 2. However, this does depend on how I view the information that I've been presented with. Ideally, I'd want to see a full copy of Bee's financial statements before making any firm judgments. So I'm showing the examiner that I understand that I can make a decision and I can conclude my answer, but I need more information to make a full and frank assessment of this performance. But now I'm going to answer the question. However, Bee is increasing sales revenue and gross profit, which does suggest that the business is being successful. However, there has to be concerns about if costs are increasing or the selling price is decreasing. Bee also needs to ensure that she addresses the issues with net profit, as this is getting smaller, and means that she needs to reduce her overheads that she's paying. Bee could also have made a good move in buying a new machine and turning it into a fixed asset. If this is the case, she now is having one less current liability to pay out overall. Now notice I've been quite to the point now and direct, but I'm not presenting new information in my conclusion, and that's what we talked about in video 1, where it's critical that you make sure that you don't present new information in your conclusion. You are just pulling it all together at the end. And that is what the completed answer would look like. I'd expect that you'd be able to produce something of that length in around 15 minutes if you've had to carry out some form of calculations previously and conclusions. Remember, to show your knowledge, remember to apply your answer, remember to explain your points, and also, most importantly, form a conclusion. And where you can, use the technical terms, the business terms. You are doing a business exam. Thanks for checking out the BeeBusinessBee YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the subscribe button down below to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. It's at BeeBusinessBee. Also, give the Facebook page a like. It's facebook.com/BeeBusinessBee. And lastly, don't forget to check out the online hive of activities found on BeeBusinessBee.co.uk, full of quizzes, activities and resources. And remember, until next time, keep buzzing.